What is good, God's vibes? Oh man, we've got a special guest with us today. Some of you remember her. We've got Nichole back on the podcast to do something really fun. So I'm going to interview Nichole and ask her all sorts of fun questions about what we got going on behind the scenes. But welcome back to God's Vibes, Nichole.
Thank you. This is so fun. I love spending time with you live.
It is so fun. We've covered so much ground over the years, which is pretty exciting.
Yes, and amen.
Yay! So for those that don't know, like maybe they literally started listening to God's Vibes like a week ago or today is their first time. Who are you and how did you get connected to me or even the Courage Co space?
Well, this is great. I love this question. So I am an ever-changing entrepreneur, to meet the needs of the children that I have, my three kids, and currently working in the real estate and financial services fields, and, just really healing from a divorce
Mhm.
that, we filed for almost 2 years ago, which is crazy to think that it was that long already.
Yeah.
And yes, I still feel like I'm healing, but I also am in a place of laughter and peace and working wholeheartedly what is in front of me, no matter what that is at the time.
And it's so encouraging to hear you boldly share that and that you are actually in a place of happiness and peace because that is one that you actually didn't know if you could ever get to.
Correct.
And it was so hard to get to. So that's so interesting to hear. It might even be fun for you to go back and hear how you've introduced yourself
I know.
in many seasons. That could be a fun extra homework assignment for you. But thank you
Yes.
for sharing that with us and letting us in a little bit to what you've been walking through in the past 2 years. And what led you to me or maybe even to Courage Co? Like how did that evolve?
So, unlike most people in Courage Co who were
Yeah,
here by like divine drop, whether it's an email or
you kind of
whatever,
were too though, just in a
uh,
different way.
yeah. I actually met Juliana by through my brother, who was working with Juliana personally and with his business, and I was brought into his business to, kind of help refine operations and things like that. And I thought, okay, who is this Juliana person? And then all of a sudden I was like, who is this Juliana person? Like, I think she might be the answer to my prayers. Because I wasn't getting what I needed from my pastor per se, or my church leadership per se at the time. I wasn't really getting what I needed from a counselor. I couldn't get it through social interaction. And it just, whatever I was looking for, I felt like I needed a Christian woman who could guide me to sort of solutions and really peace eventually, because I was buried under 12 feet of yuck and I just needed to get out of it. And I committed to personal coaching. And that was, oh gosh, like over three and a
Like
half,
four.
about 3.5 years ago,
Yeah.
and, which is crazy. And I circled the mountain for a little while. And then I decided, I'm not going to circle the mountain anymore, and I'm ready. And I stepped out on my own, and I'm so grateful to God for bringing you to me
Yeah.
and my children's lives, and all of the goodness that has flowed from that.
Amen. Oh, it's so powerful. And there's so much that happened when you started going out on your own. So through coaching, you were led to Courage Co. You didn't really know what Courage Co was. So if you want to share about that and what transpired there, it's pretty interesting how there's almost something happening on the inside where I'm craving, I'm desiring more. I can't figure out where to get it. And I think that's so relatable how you just described that because so many people live there, but it doesn't feel
Mhm.
like an urgent or immediate need until it is. Do you know what I mean? We kind of like live with that restlessness for a while, or we're not quite sure what to do. And then God sends the boat. You know what I mean? Like he sets the
Thankfully,
signs or he
thankfully,
sends
I
the
jumped
boat.
for
You know
the
what I mean? Like,
helicopter.
hello, like it is time. Like this is really important. All those things in your heart. Like I have answers for all that. I have solutions for all that. So we started
Yeah.
coaching, then you find out about Courage Co. and what happens on that journey. Because it almost like is like you take your personal work and multiply it around other people that are doing the work too. you
Yes.
can probably articulate that so much better, but it's interesting to hear what happens on the inside.
Well, I feel like coaching is similar to child's rearing because each
Yeah.
client, I'm sure, is different and has different needs and different like levels at which they come to you. And you're like, oh, okay, we need to start at level 6 here, but oh no, we need to start at negative level 6 over here.
Yeah.
And so it's just different ways of delivering the information. And I think that there aren't a lot of women. I haven't been friends with a lot of women in my life because I am a very direct communicator. I have a lot of male vibes, brothers all around me, male energy.
Yeah.
And I was raised, you know, as the firstborn, so a lot of male energy. And so the soft, fluffy talk doesn't usually work well for me.
Yeah.
I'm usually like a give it to me straight kind of girl.
Yeah. No chaser.
Yes, but you gave it to me straight because I can anticipate that somebody who's a soft, fluffy ball catcher could have taken 5 years to do what I did in 3, but it's definitely you were so gentle. And I think what came for me out of coaching, specifically to your question, is that I was thinking, oh my gosh, the world needs this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be the only one that's like suffering in some way, even though like there wasn't like health suffering or anything. I was like oppressed by
Yeah.
my own life.
Yeah.
And looking back, I go, I don't even know how I lived that life. And I kept saying, this needs to be like duplicatable. How are we going to make more Julianas? Like, we don't have a clonometer yet. And so, if that's even a word. And
That'd be
so
strange, actually. I don't
right,
know.
right, right. So like lots of Julianas running around. So I really was like, we need to figure out how to make this bigger. And so little did I know you were already making it bigger, kind of like when I wasn't coaching with you, God forbid you have a life aside from that. And and then all of a sudden, it was like I was getting ready to like renew my coaching with you.
Yeah.
And here we go, Courage Co's coming. And I'm
Yeah.
like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. All the things happen.
Yes, exactly. All the things were happening. And so
Yes.
yeah, it's that tunnel vision when you're in a state of suffering where I was. I think it was more that's all I could see was the tree that was in front of me.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so fast forward to, excuse me, God's Vibes Mastermind. I jumped in that program and, began to coach with a small group.
Mhm.
Think personal training with like stations only for your head and your heart.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like so good, right? And it was like life changing because what it did was it almost like rewound me to when I was 9,
Yeah.
when I could sense that I didn't have too much responsibility at that point in my life and work forward, literally anew. And that was how powerful God's Vibes. I think I called you
Yeah.
one Saturday morning and was like, week 3, day 4, I think this is my new birthday.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah. You're like rededicating my
it was
life in a whole new way.
it was literally like how to live your life 101
Yeah.
with Christ and
Yeah.
Juliana.
Yeah. Everyone needs a spiritual running buddy in
That's
it.
right.
You just do. So you do the mastermind. You're actually, what do we call them? An OG now. You're
I
still in
am an
the
OG.
mastermind, right? Because
Yes.
there's something new that can happen every time you go through. It's like when you read the Bible, like new layers, new revelation keeps coming forth. And then the community is just so special that you just want to meet with each other every week. Like the connections that have developed in there, you start to see that there's not just shared pain, but there's shared celebration, there's shared faith, there's shared breakthroughs, there's shared testimonies, there's constant evidence of how God is working, and you just can't get enough of that. So you do the mastermind, then you also continue the journey. I think after that, you did 30 days of faith walking. Then you went through the SES life coach certification, and you're
That
also,
was I still need to audit it one more time to like get I feel like it was so much all at once that I was like, oh, I think I need to go through that again.
Well, and what you learned from there, and now too, like you've even gone through coaching with other SDS coaches, which I just think is so fascinating, right? Like what you've done in such a short period of
Yes.
time. So if you want to speak to any of that, you've basically soaked in a majority of what Courage Co has to offer and keep showing up in all of the things. And so you can really advocate for what's happening in there in a way maybe I couldn't even do that.
Yeah, so I feel like the firstborn, like I kind of got all the good stuff. Like all the goodness, and I get to kind of repeat it. Like I get to watch the next kids come through. And
Yeah.
so it's really awesome that way. And I think what's really powerful, just speaking from the mastermind, or actually it was the live hot seat coaching this week,
Oh yeah.
hearing women talk like I talked 3 years ago was very bittersweet for me.
Totally.
All I want to do is save her, and I understand now that I cannot save her, that she
Oh,
has to walk her walk.
yep.
But I
Yep.
did not have anybody other than you,
Yeah.
literally, to walk me out of that. And now she has all of us.
Yeah.
So, like, it kind of chokes me up because hopefully, and I think I said this, earlier, is like what took me 3 years
Yes.
that could have taken somebody without you 5 years is hopefully only going to take her a year and a half.
Yeah.
And she'll get to that place of peace.
Yeah.
Hopefully far more in a far more fulfilled way, where I kind of like cocooned myself. And I actually thought after the SDS coaching program that I was like, oh, okay, I got this thing. All
Yeah.
right. So I took like 3 months off,
Uh-huh.
and I kept trying to like get in, and it was just like not God's timing for me to be in. But I think what it taught me
Mhm.
is that these are the people who pour into me, and I found my cup empty all over again,
Yes.
and reactive, and
Yes.
not in a godly place.
Yes.
I was still like, reading my Bible and keeping up
Yeah.
with that. Accountability piece is key, but more from the standpoint of is I want to be a sister in this community
Yeah.
that can pour into others
Yeah.
like you and others have poured into me. And so in choosing those SDS life coaches, like that really were my peers. Like I was learning when they were learning.
Yeah.
I was very careful to choose people who, one, were age-wise a peer for me,
Yes.
two, had been through something similar to me,
Yes.
so they could speak from experience and healing,
Yes.
and also that they had biblical background, so that, duplicatability essentially that we were talking about earlier is actually happening. It's just not many Julianas. It's
Yeah.
not a tribe of Julianas, it's a tribe of all these other really empowered women who are just bringing God to life in people's lives.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's so good. This is just the power of discipleship. That's really what this is, right? And celebrating Courage Co celebrates the diversity of each person and the uniqueness of each person, down to how God created them, to what they're walking through, to what their kingdom assignments are, and really
Mhm.
accelerates them into destiny. What you're saying is true. When you partner with a coach, you can cut years off your learning curve. You can truly get accelerated into your destiny, assuming that it's, a highly trained coach, trauma-informed coaches, coaches that are faith-based, coaches that know God, know the word, that are accountable to walking that out in their life. There's a level of freedom and breakthrough that you get that you can't get in other places. So it's profound and it's wise, right? Because on average, I think it's about when you go to some sort of immersive experience. So let's call SDS an immersive experience, right?
Definitely.
After that, the percentages of people that retain it is shockingly low if they don't practice and stay engaged with it. So if somebody goes to like a conference, the average person, maybe a month later, I think it's only like 15% are still operating with their tools. It is shocking, actually. So the point with that is we need the constant practice and the constant accountability to walk according to the high call that we're called to, because it's so easy and we're trained not to do that. We're trained to be distracted. We're trained to get discouraged. We're trained to, get overwhelmed with so many different adversities that we face daily, right? And we're inundated with information. So just focusing for your average person is something that's not easy to accomplish, right? Or
Yes.
learning how to prioritize things. There's just so much that happens through having beautiful coaching and development happening constantly. It's just not this one and done thing like we might think at the beginning, like that was fun, right? But like it's something that you constantly do. Constantly do. So now you're doing this fun thing where you've decided you're listening to the God's Vibes podcast from start to finish. What happened there?
So I think what happened is, a lot of people would, a lot of the Courage Co. People would be talking about like, oh, I listened to the podcast and I'm thinking, when do you even have time
Yeah.
to this podcast? And, I'm like, I gotta go do this. I gotta make a commitment to myself because I know you.
Yeah.
And I know your integrity, and I know you're not going to put anything out there that's even remotely not like God breathed.
Yes.
And so for me, I was like, Psh, we're going old school. We're going all the way back to 2020, and we're going to go forward.
Yeah.
Where I think most people would be like, okay, I've listened to like today's. Now
Yeah.
let's chip away at it.
Yeah.
But what I'm amused by is that the episodes that I'm listening to, and I'm actually like making it a point as the podcast ambassador right now in 2025 to highlight my takeaways from those episodes and like kind of give the goodness back into Courage Co. So it almost like revives them again and
Yeah.
makes them new. But what's crazy is I'm listening to podcasts from 2020 and 2021, and I'm thinking, well, I'm in a solo season, and I'm in a pruning season, and I'm in a whatever thing, and I'm working wholeheartedly what's in front of me. And I
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, how is this episode recorded literally over 4 years ago, perfect for me today?
Yeah.
That's all, the only God can have that. Like that's not a human possibility
For
that
sure.
like there's too many there's not enough coincidence in the world to make that happen. And
Yes.
I thought, okay, well, whatever journey she was on 4 years ago, I got to keep pace now because that's where I'm at on this road. So I'm like, okay, I'm in perfect pace now to keep going.
Yes. Well, and something that we love about the God's Vibes podcast, it's designed to be binge worthy. Do you know what I mean? Just like somebody would watch it, like binge watch a Netflix series or something. Like this is designed like when you are on a walk, it's like you just keep going through episode, or when you're in your car commuting or whatever that is. Like this is something that's designed to build you up and feed you, right? Because faith comes by hearing and then hearing the
Fill in
word
the
of
cup.
God. So when you're hearing this practical wisdom, each episode is designed to give you this dose of whatever you need to implement something immediately in your reality, which I think is so fun because it does stand the test of time. Like you could listen to this again, like however many years from now, and that one episode, let's say it's, I don't know, 50, could still
Yeah.
speak to you in some sort of way, right? So it's just powerful. But what you're speaking to too, so something that we did in Courage Co, for those folks that don't know, we launched an ambassador program, which we are so just in awe of what God is doing with that already. This is the way that we can have leaders rise up in their unique giftings, which is so fun to see them step into that, right? This is beyond, maybe you go to church at some point, you take a ministry gifts assessment. I think some of us are familiar with that. And it's like, you have the gift of helps. And it's like, yeah, but there's so many more layers of gifts that you have. You actually have these kingdom assignments and kingdom calling. So people are stepping into these as ambassadors. And then we have so many opportunities for people to be a part of volunteering with Encourage Go. So there is a form in Encourage Go that you can submit if you're interested in being a part of any of these. I'm trying to think of all of them. We have a prayer ministry. So for anybody that wants to learn how to pray or grow in their prayer life, it's a believer's right It's a believer's authority. So we are here to help train people in that. So that is a ministry that you can be a part of. We have an intercessory group. We have our hangouts, which are so fun. So we've got these community events that happen virtually and in person, which is so fun. So you might be able to speak to that. We've got events that we do. So we've had many virtual events that we do and many that we'll continue to do. You're a part of media and podcast ambassador is part of that. So we can speak to that a little bit. What else? We have a book club coming, which we're
So
so
excited.
amped for. We're going to go through like all the books. It's so fun. We're loading, launching next month. So excited for that. What else am I missing? Did I get most of them? All of them? Trying to think.
Well,
Oh, and then we also have programs. So we've got a lot
yes.
of our OGs, alums, certified coaches. They are now facilitating programs, which is so fun to see. Like they're like launching into their, again, gifts, anointings, and you just get to hear the content from different perspectives and all the groups. So that's some of them. I might be missing some of it, but we've got so many different ways to volunteer and to grow with Encourage Go now, which is just fascinating. So share a little bit about podcast ambassador because you're going to do all sorts of fun things. You're not only going through all of the episodes again, which is fun. Like you're starting to understand what this podcast world is, but
Yes.
you're also going to be sharing insights from that. You're going to have almost like a review with Susie, which is really fun,
Yes.
which we're super amped about. So you can speak to that. And then what else? What else am I missing around that?
Oh, we're going to be interviewing
Oh, yes.
various leaders
Yes.
and yeah, and each other, which is really fun.
So fun.
So next week you're going to have to tune in because I'm going to get to interview Juliana. We're flipping the script, baby.
It's
I'm
so
so
because it's so
excited.
fun. I think you might have even brought this to me, but a lot of times when I'm sharing or teaching or facilitating, there's Holy Spirit flow that happens, but you're not hearing me answer questions that you might have. Like, well, how does Juliana think about this? Or how does she handle this? Or I just really need to know this. And you're not hearing me answer that because it's just not prompted. So we
Mhm.
want to have a way to bring, I don't know if it's like pulling back the curtain a little bit, but helping you guys see into just so much that happens beyond the podcast.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
literally like Courage Co and beyond. So we're going to help start bringing that over here a little bit. So that'll be really fun. But you're going to be hearing and seeing a lot more of Nichole for sure.
Oh, yes. And date wise, I'm really personally super excited about the 30 days of faith walking that's
Oh,
starting April 1st. Yes, I know. I'm like so excited because I think that what we did is we kind of jumped in the deep end with the
yeah.
mastermind and then we
Yeah.
had to kind of like back it up a little bit. And I'm
Yes.
really super excited about that for April 1st.
That's
But basically, as the podcast ambassador, we had kind of envisioned this as, and I'm grateful to you because we sort of had this loose vision of it being like a rotating sort of coverage of who the podcast ambassador is for the rest of the year. And then I just like grabbed on and I was like, oh, I really like this. Like this
like,
is
I
my
think
jam.
I'm sure.
This is my jam. I like to share the goodness. And so which does go along with my gift of evangelism, which
Yes.
kind of puts it all out there anew to the Facebook and Instagram worlds. And so
Yes.
I get to kind of make all of that new again. And I really am excited about that because it furthers the kingdom most importantly, but it also furthers the, excuse me, the lives of women who have become my friends and now my colleagues and my literal sisterhood in Christ. And you've really become, Courage Co. really has become a place that regularly fills my cup. And so that is not overlooked by me. And again, had asked the question multiple times, like, how can I support and things like that.
Yes.
So really super excited, podcast ambassador. Woohoo, here I am. And
Yes.
so I'm taking it on for 2025. And basically, what that's going to entail is I'm going to be shopping out questions to Courage Co. And each month, we're going to be covering different questions with Juliana, things that they want to know. And,
Yeah.
and I think things that they want to be expanded upon for more understanding. And, when you wrote this in your book,
Yeah.
what what did that really signify for you in life and things
Yeah.
like that. So
Oh
the
yeah.
real deal of
Yeah.
where all this God goodness came from, and really what brought you like to step one. You know what I mean? Like what was the moment? Like mine was I was in a conversation with you with my brother and I was like, "Oh, she's my person. I got to do that." Okay, great. She's the one I've been looking for. So that was like my day one.
Yeah.
And so I had to embrace that God put you in front of me.
Yeah.
And I had to be like, okay, you asked, I answered. This is what you've been looking for. This is who you've been looking for. This is how we're going to live the rest of your life.
Yes.
And me thinking at some point that I was like done was ha, 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 so funny.
Right.
I,
We're never done.
I was literally like, I miss my people. And so I came, came
Yeah.
back and came crawling back. And I was like, and of course, everybody was like, where have you been? We miss
Right.
you. And so it was just wonderful. And, you can pop in and out and, everybody understands that like life happens, ordained, and these relationships are ones that I anticipate I'll have for the rest of my life.
Yeah. It's
So
amazing. And
it
then on
really
these,
is.
you're gonna do sessions too with Susie. Are these gonna be live? Like, can people join these? I need to
I
hear.
apologize.
Okay.
Yes, I forgot. So we're trying to come up with a really fun name right now. But basically it's going to be like, do you remember the Muppets and the two old guys that would like sit
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
in the balcony and they'd be like, haha, that's really great. We're going to basically be a cross between the old dudes in the balcony and like the Siskel and Ebert, like, oh,
Yes.
what did you get from that? Well, I got this and you got that.
Yes.
And it's really fun.
Well, it
And
delights my heart because we've got so many people here, and shout out to you guys who are like God's Vibes loyal fans that just nerd out, they geek out, they listen every time an episode comes up, and literally, like, I can see the minute I post an episode, it's like 20 downloads already. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I just posted it.
yes,
So
yes.
it's so awesome. So it's going to be the next level for you all that are these avid listeners that just want to hear insights from other people that are also faithfully listening, and this is inspiring them every week. So it's just going to be a different level of adding to that, which is so amazing.
And I feel like a lot of your podcasts, like when you think about it, I mean, we're in 2025 right now. Really, God's Vibes Mastermind launched in 2023 January or like December 31st, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And so all of the podcast episodes before that, I'm like, we just have to figure that out, how to make it new. And it's happening and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so, so good.
Yes.
So we're going to be back with Nichole. This is just like a little teaser of what's to come. So she's going to be sharing all things podcast and so many other things. She's involved in many things in the ambassador program. Again, if you're interested in serving in Courage Co, it is the ambassador program. So when you go inside Courage Co, there's a pinned post. There's even a section where you can find interested in the ambassador program. You can fill out the form and be considered to join us as a volunteer in one or many of what we got going on. We've got more things to announce too. There's more exciting things that are happening very, very soon. So it's just great to plug into that to be in the know. But you're going to be hearing from Nichole about the podcast. So we do have a section in Courage Go where we can start taking questions, as you're saying. You can submit questions that you want to hear if there's an episode that you really loved or you want them to go deeper on. We're in
Hmm.
spaces for you guys to be able to do that so that they can cater to you and really make sure
Hmm.
you're engaging with what's here. There is so much that drops. On average, there's 2 to 3 episodes a week. So there's so much content and so much you can learn. So that's something that you can do in there. If you're not in Courage Co, highly recommend plugging in. You can go to www.courageco.org, create a unique login, and plug in there. Once you do, you're in a private app. So this space is literally for your development, for discipleship, for prophetic training, for the life coach certification, for community, for support, for prayer, for all of the things. So this is really to help you grow in your kingdom assignments, grow as an individual and grow into the good plans God has for you. So it is a ministry. It's something you can sow into. People have been doing that as well. Like if this is where you're getting fed, this is where you sow as well. And when we sow, we have to share so much more on this, but we call it our bamboozle ministry. So we anonymously bamboozle people. Like we will get them into the inner circle so they can experience a whole month of coaching for free. Didn't see that coming. We'll get them into the mastermind. We have significantly discounted and given scholarships for SDS. There's just so many things that sewing has enabled us to do, and it is profound. So we are in the process of capturing those testimonies right now so you can hear what your sewing is literally done in the lives of other people. So if you do sew, that's directly where it goes. It goes into people's transformation. So pretty exciting stuff. But if you
It
want to
is.
connect with Nichole, you can. You can find her inside Courage Co. You can ask her questions about the podcast or really all things Courage Co. in your game. And she'd be happy to connect with you. Any final thoughts before we jump today?
No, just know that you have found the right place, and this is the place that you were looking for all along.
Yeah, it's so,
Congratulations on finding us.
yeah. It's not like, yes, we're your weirdos. It's kind of
Yeah, I mean, like, but in a way, it's an insulated, safe,
Mhm.
amazing place to be. And why I almost wish that we just would multiply, faster,
Yep.
because all I want is to be around my Courage Co sisters like
Yeah.
all the time. And I think I reach out at least once a week to one of you,
Yeah.
and say, God, I wish we lived closer.
Yeah. And it's rare. Like, this is not, like a business, right? Like, this is literally a ministry. This is an apostolic training hub. So, this is designed to literally help you grow, quite
Yeah.
literally, into your kingdom assignments. But to do that, you have to heal. Sometimes there's deliverance involved. Sometimes you have to go through a journey and a process you didn't realize, but you don't journey that alone. And sometimes that's the hardest thing. And you think you have to journey alone, but you don't. And then
No,
once you find a different level of freedom and peace and wholeness, then you start really learning how to co-create with God, and it's a whole new world. And then you don't quite know how to show up in that world, and you need to be around people that do and that can normalize that for you and that are walking by faith, because faith walkers are very different than fear walkers. They're just
amen.
totally different. So when you get around people that are actively faith walking, you can see you go to different depths and you get accelerated in completely different ways. So it's very, very powerful. There's so much that's going to continue to evolve and happen there in the best ways. But yeah, we definitely recommend being part of it. You can join for free. And then we are designed to meet you where you are. So a great place to start, like literally soon, April 1st is in 30 days
Yes.
faith walking, like literally plug into that. Some of
Hmm.
us are taking it to like 2.0. We're going to pray and fast during the whole experience. So you can do that, but we're
Yes.
going to have different facilitators throughout. So there's, I believe, 5 different sessions, and the bonus session is going to be 2 full hours. So it's just going to be so
All kinds of
plug
good.
in. You get access to it for an entire year. So some people didn't know that. They thought they just get the 30 days. Nah, like you get the whole year.
Yes, yes. And
Insane.
there's
So,
actually going to be a lot of the OGs in there too, because
yes.
like I said, we sort of like jumped over this rock to get in the Vibes Masterminds. And I was like, oh, we got to go back and,
Yeah,
get through
I
the
mean,
things.
you'll meet spiritual running buddies in there. You will take things a day at a time. It's very consumable and digestible. It's just a little at a time. You can go through the content during the day whenever it works for you. If it's the morning, evening, middle of the afternoon, whatever, you can go through it. And then there's live calls every single week. So it's just going to be very profound. I highly recommend grabbing another human to go along the journey with you and then just watch and see what the Lord does. He's doing something epic. We start April 1st, which is April Fool's Day. So we're saying that we're keeping the fool under our feet. So you want to start a faith walk instead of a foolish one, you can come join us on April 1st. Whatever your issue is, whatever your challenge is, we're taking it on a faith walk.
I love it. I can't wait.
So good. So exciting. Thank you for sharing with us today. I'm so glad that you're here and that you're engaged in all these new things. It's going to be so fun to see what God does.
It is.